EU Ambassador Gordon Sondland testified at the impeachment hearing, saying a lot more about his boss, Donald Trump, than anyone expected.
And a new report shows the risk of wildfires in Southern California and what is being done to help prevent them.
Rain soaked Southern California for the first time in months. We'll show you how the USC community reacted to the wet weather.
Annenberg TV News is next.
Live from USC, you're watching Annenberg TV News. Live from USC, you're watching Annenberg TV News.
Was there a quid pro quo? As I testified previously, with regard to the requested White House call and the White House meeting, the answer is yes.
EU Ambassador Gordon Sondland testified in today's impeachment hearings. He says there was a quid pro quo between President Trump and the new president of Ukraine. Good evening, I'm Cecil Hannibal.
And I'm Kellie Miller. Sondland said there was a demand for Ukraine to announce an investigation into Democratic candidate Joe Biden and his son in exchange for a White House meeting with the president.
Mr. Giuliani conveyed to Secretary Perry, Ambassador Volker, and others that President Trump wanted a public statement from President Zelensky committing to investigations of Burisma and the 2016 election. Mr. Giuliani expressed those requests directly to the Ukrainians, and Mr. Giuliani also expressed those requests directly to us.
Ambassador Sondland's testimony was a bombshell. He said President Trump and many top White House officials knew about the pressure on Ukraine to investigate the Bidens and the conspiracy theory about Ukraine's involvement in the 2016 election.
A new ABC poll shows the majority of Americans are paying attention to the impeachment inquiry. But will it change public opinion? Reporter Morgan Stevens looks at where Americans stand on the issue.
U.S. Ambassador to the European Union Gordon Sondland testified today to a full room on Capitol Hill. But will it make a dent in Americans' opinions on impeachment? The latest polling shows a complicated story of how Americans feel about it. According to a new ABC Ipsos poll, 70% think President Trump's actions tied to Ukraine were wrong, but only 50% think he should be impeached because of it. A USC professor says an impeachment conviction is unlikely.
The basic partisan lines are holding in this. The people who were part of Trump's base, they're going to stick with him. The people who are anti-Trump are going to still be against him. The outcome is already fairly well determined that the House will impeach him and the Senate will not convict him.
A new NPR PBS poll shows 2/3 of Americans said they cannot imagine anything surfacing during the inquiry that would change their opinion. The impeachment inquiry doesn't look like it's affecting Trump's approval rating either.
Gallup asked Americans how they felt about Donald Trump's handling of his job as president. As you can see here in September, his approval rating was around 43%. In October, however, after the impeachment inquiry was announced by Speaker Pelosi, it dipped to around 41%. In November, it went back up, though, 3 percentage points to 44%.
These numbers might shift as the hearings continue.
Please rise and raise your right hand. I will begin by swearing you in.
What we know is most Americans are paying attention. What we don't know is if it will change their minds. For Annenberg Media, I'm Morgan Stevens.
Thank you, Morgan. The Democratic presidential candidates are about to start their 5th debate, this time in Atlanta.
Political reporter Nathan Hyun is at a watch party in Wallace Annenberg Hall. Nathan, what can you tell us about tonight's debate?
Yeah, thanks, guys. Earlier today, students were here watching the impeachment hearing, and now students are slowly starting to file in to watch the debate tonight. The debate will feature 10 candidates, down from just a dozen last month. USC professor Mark Ambitter has written extensively about politics. I talked to him about what he expects tonight.
Pete Buttigieg, who is on the rise, is going to have a target on his back. So the big question will be, how does he fare under the spotlight? People are going to talk about impeachment. I think there's going to be questions about perhaps Democratic strategy going forward. What happens if President Trump isn't convicted in the Senate, if he is impeached? With 2.5 months between now and the start of the first voting, there's still plenty of time for candidates who are not in the top 4 to make an impression, but they have to start soon.
Senator Pete Buttigieg, who consistently attacked Elizabeth Warren in the previous debate, is now surging with a commanding 9-point lead in the Iowa polls. Half of these candidates are senators. That means if the House votes to impeach President Trump, then they will have to take time off from the campaign trail to return to Washington for the trial. The debate starts at 6 and includes billionaire Tom Steyer. This will be his second debate. In addition, it is also Joe Biden's birthday. Also, Massachusetts Governor Devin Patrick is a new candidate, and former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg has taken steps for candidacy. They will both not be on stage tonight. The next debate will be on December 19th at Loyola Marymount University. This is Nathan Hyun reporting live from Wallace Annenberg Hall. Back to you guys.
A new report today detailed the potentially deadly risk of wildfires due to the LADWP equipment. Annenberg Media's Trevor Sochocki has more on what can be done to improve the utilities infrastructure.
Power lines like these crisscross LA. Many in urban areas are operated by the Department of Water and Power. But a report released today by Controller Ron Galperin explains the dangerous potential of old or outdated LADWP equipment in wildfire areas.
And we've seen tremendous number of people who are dying from these wildfires, especially because you have development often that is increasingly in areas that are adjacent to wildfire zones.
The Getty fire a few months ago was caused by a branch falling on department power lines, and the utility could be seeing more fires like that. Thousands of wooden poles in fire threat areas are over 65 years old, and there is a maintenance backlog of over 2,000 poles in LA Fire Department zones.
A few hours before the report was released, LADWP told the controller the maintenance backlog was only 30 poles, over 2,000 less than what the report states.
Why did the department do that?
That is a really good question.
In a statement to Annenberg Media, the department said, "It is important to understand that the challenges LADWP faces are not unique in the utility industry, which is affecting nearly every utility in the nation." The report says LADWP needs to eliminate the backlog, use better technology to monitor its system, and enhance inspections in high fire threat zones. If that doesn't happen, it could cost the utility $42 million in losses each year for the next 100 years because of fires. As the report says, it only takes a spark. For Annenberg Media, I'm Trevor Sochocki.
Today is the International Transgender Day of Remembrance. Every year, this day memorializes those who have died from suicide and hate crimes. We spoke with program manager of Trans Lounge at the LGBT Center in LA.
I want people to come to a Day of Remembrance event, and I don't want them to think, wasn't that a lovely ceremony or a lovely vigil? I want them to be angry. I want them to feel outraged. This is not going to stand. I'm not going to stand for this. Not today, not just through November 20th, but today and every day. I would want Trans Day of Remembrance to go away, because that would mean we're not being murdered at these crazy rates.
According to the Human Rights Campaign Foundation, at least 22 transgender people were killed in 2019. Last year, there were 27 deaths, and in 2017, there were 25 deaths. About 4 out of 5 of anti-transgender homicides involved women of color. The city of West Hollywood is hosting a ceremony at the Center for Early Education this evening.
Parents of USC students worried about recent deaths on campus have a new place to turn for help. A new Facebook group called Counseling Connection Corner introduces parents to a community of therapists ready to talk to students.
The needs of the students might be a little bit more than what the counseling center can provide in terms of complexity of the issues, or just even the amount of students that need help and the amount of personnel that they have. A lot of them are experiencing some of the same things, right? It's a huge transition, especially for people who are starting college, the freshmen and whatnot. Life is very different than it can be expected or was expected. Family systems are very different once someone gets into college. And so there's a lot of issues that I think a lot of people who go to college experience the same things.
Families unable to afford the services of therapists are encouraged to ask for reduced rates.
The hashtag Latina Equal Pay Day has been taking over social media. We'll hear from Latinas in the workplace.
That's right, and new polls show just how many LA voters believe homelessness is a crisis.
And a USC professor was nominated for a Grammy. We'll show you what other artists were nominated in this year's Grammys.
Coming up next.
Meet the Scam. a simple procedure whose mission is to detect lung cancer early.
I'm here to save you.
But I feel fine.
That's great, but you may still be at high risk for lung cancer.
Oh man, that's a new fence.
If you smoke, early detection could save your life. Learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Being prepared is a part of who you are, but it's especially important in the case of a disaster. Be informed about possible emergencies in your area. Make a plan that covers where you'll go in an emergency. Build a kit with the things you need to survive. There's no one more capable of planning for your situation than you. Start your plan today. Go to ready.gov/myplan.
When you adopt a shelter pet, you discover their unique mix of all kinds of traits.
Where'd Wiley go? Where's Wiley? Ah, there she is. Paw?
Do you remember being an ancient wolf? Do you ever feel the call of the wild?
You're a renegade cop, and I'm a con woman with nothing to prove. But together, we could really solve this murder.
They're a little bit of a lot of things, but all of them are pure love.
A new poll shows LA voters rate homelessness as the most serious problem facing Los Angeles. Annenberg Media's Evan Falstrup went to Skid Row to find out more.
95% of LA residents see homelessness as more serious than any other issue the city faces. The LA Business Council commissioned a poll, and its president was surprised with the results.
What we learned about what people are thinking is that they're quite empathetic. That, you know, over 30% of the people that responded said they feel terrible and they really want to do something. So, you know, if you ask people why people are homeless, they don't blame homeless people for being homeless. I think they see that there are all of these other issues that are affecting it.
Local residents just blocks away from Skid Row say the homelessness problem is clearly getting worse.
I used to go down Skid Row, there was never no tents. Now if we go down there, there's a whole bunch of tents all over. It's getting worse and worse.
I just think that the city itself, in spite of a lot of publicity about the homeless problem, there's a great deal of denial about how bad it truly is here.
Local shelters in Skid Row have also taken notice.
It's spread from Skid Row to areas where homelessness and encampments and street living was never normal.
Which I think is good because it's taking people out from hiding and showing the world that, hey, this is going on. But it's not new. This has been going on for a long time. It's just now more people are paying attention to it.
Mayor Garcetti acknowledges that homelessness is a crisis. He says the city is using every resource possible to address the problem. For Annenberg Media, I'm Evan Falstrup.
A new social media hashtag, Latina Equal Pay, has gained popularity. Annenberg Media's Genevieve Glass talked with Latinas about their struggles and their fight for equality in the workplace.
A social media storm began this morning using the hashtag Latina Equal Pay in order to bring awareness to this issue. Associate Professor Amara Aguilar thinks there are benefits to this approach.
I think social media is really important for movements. I think it can bring people together. I also want to make sure, though, people that aren't on social media aren't left out. So I think mobilization at the community level and in the physical space is also really important.
What's sad is that my mom's getting paid less than this woman.
Junior Crystal Silva says her mom has been working the same job at a sheriff's department for 20 years.
You have to also put in mind, not only is she getting paid less because she's Hispanic, she's also getting paid less because she is a female.
The former co-president of Latino Media Ventures has learned firsthand how difficult it is to negotiate.
Because those are your skills. We don't always necessarily come with the entitlement of a white man, but we have to know that being Latina is actually a huge, huge value to any company, and it's a superpower, and that's something that should be paid in just.
The fight for equal pay must also be driven by men. For 2020 Democratic candidate Julian Castro, the issue is personal.
Moms across this country are getting paid less simply because they're women. If we want to be the most prosperous nation in the 21st century, we need to make sure that women are paid what they deserve.
For Annenberg Media, I'm Genevieve Glass.
USC Annenberg Media's DeMillo team also covered this story on their second Snapchat Discovery Edition. You can follow them on Snapchat at JustDeMillo. You know, Kelly, I woke up this morning and I had no idea that we were going to have rain.
It rained, not only that, but hail.
In Southern California, unheard of. I didn't know what was going on. I almost panicked.
Well, let's hear from our weather anchor, Ari Taylor, about this hail and rain. What do you got, Ari?
That's right, guys. I was speaking with our sports anchor earlier today, and they said today is the Super Bowl for weather in Los Angeles. But guys, you already know before I get started, you might as well have Rihanna's Umbrella as a song for the day because, guys, grab your umbrella, grab your boots because it's raining, it's cold, and I honestly might melt. 58 degrees today. It's cold, as I already said, but let's move on to tomorrow's weather. Will it be just as cold? Guys, it's actually, I'm just going to give you a little hint. It's going to heat up for us, and I'm super excited about it because, guys, I can't really do the weather like that. But let's do our, oh, they got me. You know what? They like to play a little bit of a prank on me every now and then. We're getting to the end of the year, and that was bound to happen. But in San Bernardino, 63 degrees. Big Bear, 38 degrees. So, it's cold. Let's move to the coast. My favorite place in the world. Still a little chilly. 60 degrees all around. 63 Malibu, Thousand Oaks. We all know what it is. Bringing it back home to the place we all know and love. USC, it is actually still going to be the 60, 67 degrees. And in our flights and not feelings forecast, 65 degrees. But looking ahead for the rest of the week, because we got to know what do we got to wear for the rest of the week. Thursday and Friday, it's still going to be a little cloudy, but just in time for our game on Saturday, it's going to be an absolutely great weather day. So, story for today, it's officially the first storm of the season. It ends Southern California's 6-month dry spell. The National Weather Service issued a flash flood warning for several counties. In addition to the downpour, this storm has brought lightning, hail, and snow. I spoke to the Trojan Knights to see how they've been braving the stormy weather to protect Tommy Trojan.
We woke up a few times in the middle of the night having cold rain poured on us. Today it's been a little bit rougher because of all the hail and everything.
So our setup has been capturing a lot of water and holding it, and so to stop it from collapsing, we've been pushing the water off the sides. Not really used to hail, but you know, we're ready for whatever comes at us, whether it be Bruins or the weather.
If you're driving, slow down. Skies are expected to clear up just in time for the big game this weekend. So I hope y'all can go because I know I'm excited too.
I'm ready for it.
Thank you so much, Ari. And now the nominations for the 62nd Annual Grammy Awards were revealed this morning. Annenberg Media's Abby Washer shows us how a diverse new group of artists led the nominations.
I'm the bad guy. Duh.
Billie Eilish, Lizzo, and Lil Nas X were all nominated for Best New Artist. They seem to have sparked a shift in the music industry. USC students shared their thoughts on how today's Grammy nominations reflect how the industry is moving on from old mistakes.
I think it's reflective of the Grammys sort of catching up, in a sense, because I know that for a long time the Grammys have sort of existed in their little bubble of like old white dudes that are out of touch with current trends, and I think this year is really indicative of the fact that now they are forced to pay attention to what's happening whether or not they like it.
While USC students have celebrities like Lizzo and Billie Eilish to look up to who have achieved the goals they hope to themselves, they also have faculty all around campus who can inspire them in the same ways. A USC Thornton professor was recognized for her vocal talent after being nominated for 2 Grammys. She self-released her album in August without the help of a record label behind her.
It means so much to have an album and a project out there that is acknowledged by mentors and friends and collaborators and different people who I've looked up to for a very long time. And this record in particular, I think, signals a shift, a paradigm shift in the music world.
Gazarek was one of 2 Thornton professors who received a Grammy nomination, showing the true caliber of music staff at USC. The Grammys are January 26th at the Staples Center. For Annenberg Media, I'm Abby Washer.
Shout out Lil Nas X for his first Grammy nomination.
That's right.
But enough about the Grammys. We're here for USC Sports. What's going on, Noah?
That's right, Cecil. I hope you like football because we got a lot of that for you today. USC takes on UCLA this week. We'll prepare you for the crucial game this weekend. The Trojans are fighting with Utah for the Pac-12 South. We'll show you what needs to happen for the Trojans to find themselves in the Pac-12 championship. And finally, college football playoff rankings are heating up. Trevor and I will tell you who we got in the college football playoff. But first, let's pause for a 7th inning stretch. We'll be back with sports right after the break.
Get it.
Get it. Get it.
Give your town a reason to celebrate, because every Goodwill item you bring home brings job training and more to your community. Goodwill, bring good home.
Sure, I look cute now, but when my owner lost his job, it was rough. I was living on the street, and one night, me and this Cocker Spaniel got into it so bad, I wound up looking like an ice cream cone. I cried a little bit, but thankfully I got rescued, so I'm running, I'm jumping, all back to my old self, and I'm ready to give unconditional love, even if you put a lampshade on my head.
Honorary Forest Ranger Betty White here, lending a hand to my dear friend Smokey Bear. Because for 75 years, he's only said,
only you can prevent wildfires.
But there's a lot more to say. Like, if you park your car on tall, dry grass, the hot exhaust pipe can start a wildfire. So keep the animals safe, especially the cute shirtless one. Go to SmokeyBear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention.
Welcome back to ATVN. Rivalry week gets a head start for Trojan fans as UCLA is coming to the Coliseum this Saturday for a huge matchup with the Trojans. The Trojans dropped the rivalry game last year, moving the head-to-head total to 47, 32, and 7 in favor of the Trojans. The Trojans are looking to get the victory bell back and keep their hopes alive in the Pac-12 South.
It ought to be a great challenge for us. Our kids are really excited about it. We got an opportunity to really finish strong down the stretch here. Hopefully put us in position that maybe win number 8, and hopefully win number 9 at a Pac-12 championship. And we'll be big Wildcat and Buffalo fans from here on out.
This will obviously be the seniors' last game in the Coliseum, and Trojan fans will have to say goodbye to some of their favorite players, guys like Michael Pittman, John Houston, and Christian Rector. But another guy who may be facing his last game is head coach Clay Helton. It's no secret that there's uncertainty with Helton's future, especially since new AD Mike Bone may want to put his stamp on this program. But in order to leave the Coliseum with one last victory, Helton must find a way to slow down UCLA's Joshua Kellie. Here's Trevor with more.
Thanks, Noah. If there's one player who's been giving Clay Helton nightmares this week, it's UCLA running back Joshua Kellie. Like you said, last season he ran over, around, and through USC's defense, which had less answers for him than a true or false exam. Well, he's back this year and ready to cement his status as the SC assassin. Chip Kelly will find creative ways to get him the ball, including plays just like this. They fake a reverse, and no one accounts for the 219-pound Kelly, not even the cameraman. Kelly rumbles into the end zone untouched for a 55-yard touchdown that ended up being the deciding play of the victory. He finished with 289 yards, the most by any player ever in a USC-UCLA game. In order for USC to get that victory bell back in their possession, they'll have to make it their personal mission to slow down Kelly. Also, keep an eye on quarterback Dorian Thompson-Robinson. He's more than a bunch of last names in a row. He's a vastly improved passer from a year ago, the guy that USC saw last year. He has 17 passing touchdowns on the season, so keep an eye on those two players.
That's right, Trevor, but this UCLA game may not even be the most important game for USC this weekend, as USC needs some help if they want to reach the Pac-12 championship. So it's a two-team race for the Pac-12 South between USC and Utah. A loss to UCLA will all but eliminate the Trojans, as Utah would need just one win to clinch. However, a USC win this weekend would mean the Trojans would only need one Utah loss in the next 2 weeks for the Trojans to take the top spot and find themselves in the Pac-12 championship. But a Utah loss is not a small ask, as they're playing for a chance to reach the college football playoff. And speaking of the playoff, there was a surprise in the bottom of the rankings. USC found themselves sitting at number 23. Trevor, I want to ask you, what does this mean for the Trojans?
This is massive for the Trojans. I mean, now we know that all they need is for 20 teams to lose 3 times in the next 3 weeks, and they're in the college football playoff. But real talk, this means nothing. I don't know why the committee feels the need to rank all 25 teams when really only their top 10 or top 25 matters. matters. I mean, it's kind of like when someone tells you look good today, it's an empty compliment. Noah, let's talk about some teams that actually have a chance to make the playoff. I know we have some disagreements, so you go first.
Well, Trevor, I'm going to take you through my predictions. I got LSU at number 1. I think they win the SEC championship over Georgia, get that spot. Number 2, I got Ohio State. They have a tough schedule, Penn State and Michigan. I think they'll beat them both and land at number 2. Clemson at number 3. They don't play anybody. They'll coast to number 3. And number 4, this is where the disagreement may come. I got Oregon winning the Pac-12 championship over Utah. Sorry, Trojan fans. I think Oregon takes that. And Georgia's lost to LSU in the championship. And Alabama's not making the SEC championship. Means Oregon takes it. Trevor, I know you are itching to bash that. So please
ready to get in the ring.
Go for it.
No, I like your top 3, but I just don't think Oregon's getting in over some of these other one-loss teams. I mean, the committee has made it very clear how they feel about the Pac-12. The conference has only put in a team once in the past 4 years. That was Washington in 2017. And I've got Georgia actually beating LSU in the SEC title, putting 2 SEC teams in there. But even if Georgia doesn't win, I think Alabama makes it over Oregon. Oregon's only loss of the season was to Auburn in week 1. Alabama faces Auburn next week. So once they have that common opponent, combined with the brand recognition of Alabama, I think 2 SEC teams are getting in, and the Pac-12 is left out once again.
Well, it'll definitely be fun. Last couple weeks of college football. We'll see if one of us maybe gets our predictions right. But that is all we have for sports. So Cecil, Kellie, back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Trevor and Noah. And now it's Wednesday, and we have a new Woman Crush Wednesday.
Yeah, we'll meet a woman who's having an impact in the community. Coming up next.
It's a beautiful day out here. Sunny today with light breezes, giving way to clouds in the afternoon. We could see some light precipitation to moderate precipitation later on, followed by powerful storm-like conditions. 90 miles per hour winds are expected. Authorities are asking everyone, stay indoors. Come on, that's it. Let's go.
My parents weren't fluent in English, so in school, I had to be independent and take initiative. And that's how I handle every project I get.
You think getting dumped by text is harsh? Try getting dumped by a tennis ball. My ex-owner drove me out to the woods, yelled fetch, and by the time I brought the ball back, he was gone. Yeah, I was pissed. But the folks at the shelter helped me let go of my anger. I learned coping skills, like taking it to the hole. Boom! Now I'm ready to fetch again. But how about I throw and you run and get it?
This week in our Woman Crush Wednesday segment, we meet Tianyu Wang. She's the co-director of the Sochocki initiative. USC students design and teach courses to the children of USC staff members. They also teach students at 3 high schools near campus. I sat down with Tianyu to learn more about this program that's only 1 year old. I asked Tianyu what advice she would give to young women. She said, don't let anyone tell you what you can and cannot do. If there are opportunities you wish you had, go ahead and create them for yourself and for others. And now we have our site. We had a little issue there, but here we go. Tianyu.
I'm the co-director with 2 other amazing girls, Lauren A. and Megan Lexmana, and we work with instructors that are undergraduate and graduate students at USC, and we try to provide free education for the children of USC staff and local high school students.
And so what was the vision behind the Sochocki initiative?
So we noticed that USC staff members aren't really getting a lot of the benefits that faculty members are at USC, so we wanted to provide them with the opportunity for their children to better their own education.
And what do you love about this initiative on USC's campus?
So I really love the fact that we get to work with all these amazing students. I think a lot of times as college students, we forget how fun learning really is.
Wow, Kellie, what an amazing interview.
She was great. She's wonderful.
Thanks for watching Annenberg TV News from everyone at Annenberg Media. I'm Cecil Hannibal.
And I'm Kellie Miller. You can watch us on the web at uscannenbergmedia.com. Have a great night.